The message came at 6:14 in the morning, 2 minutes after the Forbes digital cover went live. 2 minutes. That was all it took. For 3 years, my sister had not answered a single call. Not one text, not one birthday message, not even when our father went into surgery. Nothing. And then, the morning my face appeared on the cover of Forbes, my phone lit up with her name. Not just her name, a gray system notification above it. Contact unblocked. Then, the message underneath. I'm so proud of you. I stared at the screen so long that the coffee machine behind me started beeping because I'd forgotten to put a cup under it. Steam rose into empty air. Hot water hit the metal tray and hissed. And I just stood there, barefoot in my kitchen, phone in my hand, looking at a message that had arrived years too late to mean what it claimed to mean. Because the strange part wasn't that she texted. The strange part, was the timing. 3 years of digital silence. 3 years of being erased so completely. I started checking my own memory, just to make sure the last call had happened the way I remembered it. And now, 2 minutes after the cover dropped, I existed again. That was when I understood something. I should have understood long before. She did not come back because she missed me. She came back because the world had finally confirmed something she could use. And once I saw that clearly, the message stopped looking like love. It looked like strategy. The last real conversation we had happened on a Thursday night in early autumn. I remember the season because the apartment I was working out of still held heat strangely. Too warm in the daytime, too cold after sunset. The windows sweated in the corners when I boiled water. The pipes knocked if I ran the shower too long. I had 2 folding chairs, 1 secondhand desk, 1 mattress on the floor, and a whiteboard. I'd taken from a co-working space that shut down and let people carry off whatever they could fit into their cars. I didn't have a car. I had 2 monitors that didn't match. A mini fridge full of energy drinks, yogurt cups, and takeout containers I kept meaning to throw away. A router perched on a stack of investor decks. Nobody had answered. 3 extension cords running like exposed veins across the floor. That was the stage of life I was in. Not glamorous, not clean, not impressive from the outside, but alive. That matters. People who have never built anything from the floor up mistake visible disorder for a lack of direction. They don't understand. That early creation often looks like inconvenience, long before it looks like success. My sister called around 9:40 that night. I remember, because the timestamp stayed in my call log for weeks after she blocked me, and I kept staring at it, like numbers might eventually explain people. Her voice was already irritated when I answered. "Are you still working?" I laughed once, not because it was funny, because what else was I going to say? "Yes." "At this hour?" "Yes." There was a pause, then she said the sentencing I would later realize had been rehearsed before she dialed. "You need to stop doing this to yourself. Not, what are you working on? Not, how is it going? Not, do you think you're close?" No. Straight to correction. I rolled back from the desk and looked at the code window still open on the screen. A blue error message sat in the middle of it, like a dare. "What do you mean?" I asked. "I mean this startup thing," she said. "This fantasy. That one day it's all going to click, and suddenly everyone who doubted you will look stupid." That stung. Not because it was cruel, but because it revealed what she thought I was driven by. Not the work, not the system, not the problem I was trying to solve, just revenge by success. That is what small people often assume about ambition. They think it's vanity, stretched over insecurity. It's not like that, I said. Then what is it like? She snapped. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, and looked around the apartment. The whiteboard with arrows and revisions, the bug tracker on the laptop, the invoices overdue by a month, the rough prototype, running only under the right conditions, the 2 clients who hadn't canceled yet, the 1 engineer I'd convinced to stay another quarter for equity and belief. I said the most honest thing I could. It's building. Silence. Then she laughed, not loudly, not cruelly enough to hang up on. Almost worse than that. It was the laugh people use when they think they are finally being realistic on your behalf. No, she said. It's failing slowly. That was the first cut. Precise. Professional sounding. Concern. Disguised as contempt. I stood up and walked to the window. From my apartment, you could see the back of another building and 1 slice of neon from a diner sign across the avenue. I pressed 2 fingers against the glass. Cold. I know it doesn't look like much right now, I said. That's exactly the problem, she replied. It never looks like much. Every time I talk to you, you're almost there. Almost funded, almost at scale, almost through the hard part. She paused, then delivered the line that had clearly been waiting at the center of the call. You are 36 years old. At some point, a pipe dream becomes your personality. The room changed after that sentence. Not the physical room. Mine. Internally. Something went very still, because deep down, everyone who builds something alone knows this fear. Not that they'll fail. That they'll fail long enough for people to begin defining them by the attempt. I kept my voice even. I didn't call you asking for money. No. I didn't call asking for approval. No. So, what exactly are you doing here? That quieted her for 1 beat. Then she said it. I'm trying to save you from being the family cautionary tale. There it was. Not love, not worry. Positioning. She was not talking to me as a sister. She was talking to me as a future anecdote. I remember looking at the stack of user analytics on my desk and thinking, oddly clearly, she has already decided how this story ends. She just wants to be on the right side of it early. I think I can build this into something real, I said. And that was when she cut me off. You're wasting your time. Flat, no cushioning, no emotion left. Just verdict. I tried again. You need to be realistic. That word? Realistic. The word people use when they want your horizon reduced to a size that no longer threatens theirs. It's not working, she continued. You've been at this for years. It's building. No, she said again. It's failing slowly. Then, after a silence that somehow felt colder than the words, call me when you have something real. The line went dead. I called back immediately, straight to voicemail. I stared at the screen, waited, texted. You don't get to speak to me like that and call it help. Delivered. No response. I texted again the next morning. We don't have to agree, but don't talk to me like I'm already finished. Delivered. Still nothing. A week later, after 1 more unanswered attempt, the status line changed. Message not delivered. That small gray sentence did more damage than the argument. Because arguments leave heat. Being blocked leaves architecture. It means a door was not merely closed. It was removed. Silence is painful. But silence, they still suggest distance. A block is different. A block says, I have made a structural decision about your access to me. And when family does that to you, the injury is not just emotional, it is existential. Because now, your absence, has been organized. The first month after she blocked me, I still expected it to end. Not because I believed she would apologize, because I believed blood eventually reasserted itself in ordinary ways. A holiday text, a reluctant call, a family emergency, something. That's how most estrangements begin to soften, not through healing, but through inconvenience. Nothing came. Thanksgiving passed. No message. Christmas, nothing. New Year's, nothing. By February, the silence had become a shape, with edges. I would catch myself almost texting her about something dumb. Our father buying the wrong kind of snow shovel. Our mother posting another blurry church photo, and then remember, mid-motion, that I no longer existed inside her device. There is a specific humiliation in remembering you are blocked, while reaching out in affection by instinct. It teaches your body before it teaches your mind. The company, meanwhile, continued doing what hard things do before they become visible. It demanded, not all at once, every day, small humiliations. A server crash at 2:13 a.m., a client demo freezing on the one screen share that mattered, an invoice paid 2 weeks late by the one customer who kept us solvent, a junior engineer quitting because she wanted health insurance, and parents who stopped looking worried every time she called. The mythology of startup life is full of dramatic moments. The truth is more repetitive. You wake up, you solve one thing, 2 more break. You send emails into silence. You fix what you can, you cut your own pay, again. Early failure is noisy. Early persistence, offici, is mostly administrative. There were nights I slept on the office floor. Mornings I shaved in a restroom mirror that buzzed. Investor meetings where men 10 years younger than me asked if I had considered pivoting into something more monetizable. And through all of it, the strangest absence was not romance, not comfort, not sleep. It was witness. Milestones happened, in the dark. The first enterprise pilot signed. No sister to call. The first month revenue covered payroll. No call. The first time a publication mentioned us by name. No message. If my name came up in family conversation, I heard about it only through my cousin Leah. She says you're doing your project still. Project, at 40. The infantilization of ambition is one of the oldest family sports there is. They need your future to remain non-threatening. But time has a way of stripping tone from a situation if you survive it long enough. A project becomes a company if it lives. A phase becomes a career, if it keeps feeding itself. And around year 3, long after most people stopped asking, the thing we had built finally did what all durable systems eventually do. It held under pressure. Not glamour. Reliability. We didn't sell inspiration. We sold friction removal at scale. The company didn't become famous first. It became useful. That matters. Because fame attracts noise. Usefulness attracts leverage. The Forbes email came on a Tuesday. I almost deleted it. By then, I received enough flattering subject lines to know. Attention often arrives wearing borrowed prestige. But the domain was right. The editor's name checked out. And the follow-up call the next morning was very real. "We're running a feature," she said. "We'd like you on the cover package." I sat down without realizing I had stood. "When?" I asked. "Digital Monday, print after." Monday, 6 days. I thanked her too carefully. She laughed. "You sound more alarmed than flattered." That's because I know what attention costs. Part 3. The cover and the unblocking. The digital cover went live at 6:12 a.m. on a Monday. I had been awake since 4:40, refreshing the same page every 12 minutes, like a teenager. At 6:12, the page changed. There it was, my face, my name. I did not feel a rush, just a strange, quiet stillness. Because by the time recognition arrives, the self it appears to validate is often already gone. Then the phone began. Vibration, pause, vibration again. I set the phone face down and tried to pour coffee. No cup under the machine. Hot liquid hit the tray with a sharp hiss. I grabbed a mug, and that's when the screen lit up again. One notification. Gray, contact unblocked. I stopped moving. Then, the message, I'm so proud of you. I stared at those words while steam rose around my hand. Then, memory caught up. The block, the years, the surgery, the silence, and the hope burned off so fast, it left something colder behind. Second message. I always knew you'd make it. No, I thought. No, you didn't. Support is not measured at the finish line. Everyone applauds what the world has already validated. A third message. I didn't know if you'd want to hear from me, but I had to say something. This is incredible. No mention of the block. No mention of the silence. She had skipped directly over the rupture and landed in celebration. That was not reconciliation. That was narrative theft. Then, social media. My sister's face, in a small profile circle. The Forbes cover shared to her feed, with the caption, "So proud of my brother. Watching your vision become reality has been incredible." Watching? From where? From the block list? The comments were already arriving. Family is everything. You always believed in him. And that was when I understood the real danger. They see proximity and assume history. They see family language and assume loyalty. They do not know where the absences are buried. At 8:03, she called. I let it ring twice, then 3 times. Then I answered. Her voice came through bright, too bright. I wasn't sure if you'd pick up. I noticed. A little pause. You look good on the cover. That was her opening. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I know I disappeared. Just optics. You blocked me, I said. Silence, then, I know. No denial. No apology. Why are you calling now? She exhaled once. I wanted to congratulate you. No, I said. You wanted to be seen congratulating me. That quieted her. Only briefly. That's not fair. It's exact. I could hear her breathing, controlled now. I didn't think this was going to happen, she said. There it was. Not remorse, calibration. She had not misjudged my pain. She had misjudged my trajectory. And those are not the same thing. Some apologies are not about harm. They are about surprise. The person isn't sorry they left. They're sorry the outcome that society now makes their departure look bad. And if you can hear that difference clearly, you save yourself years of confusing access with love. I stayed quiet long enough that she kept talking. That's something I learned in negotiations years before I learned it in family life. Silence invites overexposure. If I'd known, she began. I cut in. If you'd known what? That it would work. There it was. Clean. Undressed. The sentence at the center of everything. Not if I'd known how much it hurt you. Not if I'd known how hard it was for you. Not if I'd known you needed someone. No, if I had known it would work. I stood up and walked to the sink, mostly so I wouldn't smile at how predictable people become once they stop feeling fully safe. You understand that's not an apology, I said. She didn't respond right away. Then came the first attempt at revision. I was worried about you. No, you weren't. I was. You were embarrassed for me. That landed. Because embarrassment is often what family concern becomes when your path threatens the group's existing hierarchy. I could hear the change in her breathing. A little faster now. More effort. I didn't know how to keep having the same conversation, she said. Every time we talked, it was the same thing. You were almost there. That, at least, had truth in it. I was, I said. Exactly. No, I said. That's not the same thing. I walked back to the counter and looked at her post again while she stayed on the line. The comments kept growing. The mythology, thickening in real time. I said, take the post down. She didn't answer immediately, which told me everything. She had expected defensiveness, maybe distance, not instruction. What? Take it down. Why would I do that? Because it's false. It's not false that I'm proud of you. That is the least important false thing in it. Silence. Then, a little steel entered her voice. This is exactly what I was afraid of. That interested me. What were you afraid of? That if you ever did become successful, you'd become impossible. I almost laughed again. There it was. The final family accusation when boundaries appear. Arrogance. Not because you changed. Because access changed. I'm not impossible, I said. I'm simply not available for revision. She didn't understand that sentence. I could hear it. So I explained. You do not get to disappear during obscurity and then claim relationship during visibility. That's harsh. No, it's structural. She exhaled sharply. You always do that. Do what? Turn everything into a system. That was funny, because she meant it as criticism. But it was exactly why I had survived both business and family. Systems save you when emotion gets manipulated. I looked at the old blocked messages again. There they sat, honest, unadorned, a record more reliable than memory. I turned my work into a system, I said. That's why it lived. I turned your silence into information. That's why I'm not confused now. For the first time in the call, she sounded genuinely unsettled. You're making me sound horrible. No, I said. The timeline did that. That was the point in the call where she changed strategies. No longer the bright, proud sister. No longer the misunderstood, concerned one. Now, she moved into vulnerability. Or what she hoped vulnerability would do. Do you know how hard it was? She asked softly. Watching you destroy yourself for something no one believed in? That almost got me. Not because it was true, because family has a way of reaching into old emotional architecture and finding the sentence that still resembles a wound. For 1 second, the younger version of me wanted to answer that. Then, the newer version of me remembered something better. People who block you do not get to describe the years they did not witness. I don't know, I said, because you weren't watching. Silence, real silence this time, not tactical. Then see, very quietly, I followed you. That stopped me, not emotionally, intellectually. What? I followed the company, she said. Not you, I checked. Sometimes. There was the next twist. Not absence, surveillance without participation, interest without risk. She had not truly left. She had simply chosen a version of distance that and one during the is become had tech the company they were and did my sister. I called them that made then before you if you not because she let that as if when I because it I let her the clean I that she I'm I it is the one still building, the one asking to be treated like a person instead of a warning. You blocked. I let the sentence settle. That matters more to me than this cover ever will. She did not cry. She did not beg. Instead, she asked one small, thus an almost childlike question. So this is it? I looked out at the city again. Mostly, it made me feel responsible to clarity. Yes, I said. Then, because I wanted to leave her with something better than anger and worse than comfort, I added, support that arrives after the spotlight is not support. It's attendance. I ended the call. Then I blocked her. Not dramatically, not with shaking hands, not in revenge, just as an act of final symmetry. She had once made a structural decision about access. Now, so had I. And because the truth matters, it did not feel good. It felt correct. There is a difference. Goodness is emotional. Correctness, is architectural. One can fade, the other holds. The week moved on. The cover turned into meetings, interviews, scheduling chaos, congratulatory noise, new problems, and better suits. Her posts slowly slid down the feed. The comments cooled. The internet moved on, because that is what it does. Public attention is weather. It should never be mistaken for climate. What remained was much smaller and much more important. A cleaned boundary, a clarified history, a refusal to let success invite people back into chapters they abandoned when the pages were ugly, some nights, even now. I think about the block notification and the unblocked message, arriving 2 minutes after visibility found me. Not because I am still hurt, because it taught me something. In a form so undeniable, I would never again confuse the lesson. There are people who love your potential. There are people who love your outcome. And there are a very small number of people who will stand near your uncertainty without asking you to become legible first. Build your life around the third group. Honor the first. Cautiously. Protect yourself from the second. That is the real legacy question. Not who shares your blood, who shared your obscurity without treating it like contamination. The Forbes cover went in a frame eventually, but not right away. For weeks, it stayed on a shelf in my office, half covered by reports, as if even then, I didn't want to give it more symbolic weight than it deserved. One evening, long after the noise had thinned, Malik came by. He looked at it, then at me, and said, "You know what the funny part is?" "What?" "This won't mean as much to the people who helped build it as it will to the people who tried to arrive late." He was right. The people who were there at Yelza already knew. The cover changed nothing essential for them. For the others, it changed everything. That tells you enough. Ew. So, no. I didn't reconnect. I didn't grant her a private redemption arc because the public one was convenient. I didn't let the silence be rewritten into strategy or concern or sisterly fear. I let it remain what it had been. Absence. Chosen. Sustained. And then, when success made that absence expensive, I declined to subsidize the new version. Because protecting your peace is not bitterness. It is often the most mature form of memory. And memory, if you care for it properly, does not trap you. It prevents performance from replacing truth. She blocked my number when I had nothing the world wanted. She unblocked me when my face gave her social value, and that told me everything I needed to know. Not about fame, not about family, but about timing. Real support does not wait for the cover. It shows up in the garage, in the ugly prototype, in the unanswered quarter, in the version of you that still sounds irrational. To people who have confused risk with foolishness, that is the only version that ever really counts. And once you understand that, peace becomes much easier to earn. She blocked me when I was still becoming. She unblocked me when becoming turned into proof. And that told me exactly which version of me she believed in.